Alright, I am back with another Destiny 2 video, and you might be able to guess what I'm going to talk about here today. That would obviously be the new Presage, I don't know how to pronounce it, exotic quest, and the Dead Man's Tale scout rifle that came with it. Unless you've been kind of under a rock with the Destiny community, this launched yesterday at Reset. It was a surprise. Even data miners were surprised because though we knew like this quest existed and this gun existed, no one was expecting it to show up this soon in week 2. I don't think we've ever seen a secret debut that early, which is another reason, why it's such a surprise and caught so many people off guard. I wrote a whole guide about like how to start it and how to do some of the trickier parts of the mission that you can check out. If you just Google the quest, I think my article will come up. It's good to know, I think, how to start it, but I would recommend going into the quest blind. I did it blind with an LFG group my first time, and we were just like communicating through typing, trying to get through all the puzzles, which took, I don't know, probably at least an hour. But now you can speedrun it in like, I don't know, 15 minutes or something once you know all the puzzle solutions, because it's the combat, there's just not that much combat. So unless you're soloing it, those parts aren't going to take that long. But if you want to be completely unspoiled, I would not watch this video. I would not read my guide. Just go to the arms dealer and go through that secret door right at the beginning there on the right once you kill all the enemies, and that's how you trigger the quest and go from there. But I would be remiss if I didn't continue my positivity train here. I wrote, or I filmed the Destiny is good now video a few days ago, and everyone was like, just wait a couple days or a couple weeks and you'll hate Destiny again and complain about things. I'm like, yeah, I'm obviously going to complain about things in the future. That's just how Destiny works. Like it's always the cycle. But I do fundamentally think that we are in a very, very good place right now. A big upswing from the end of Season of the Hunt, where everyone was kind of so down on everything. And I felt that before the secret quest dropped, and then the secret quest dropped, and it is one of the best quests Bungie has ever made, I think. A lot of people are saying it's the best quest since Zero Hour. I think you could even make the argument that it might be better than Zero Hour. I really enjoy the fact that it's not timed. Maybe the master version, when that comes, will be timed, but this version is not. And it really allows you to kind of appreciate and explore the space a bit more, which you don't really get to do in Whisper or Zero Hour to the same extent if you're trying to beat a clock. It is literally a ghost ship mission. Bungie said the team that they tasked with this was called the Ghost Ship Crew, and it is an abandoned Callus ship that has been hinted at in the lore in the past. Specifically last season, they said he was collecting Scorn on a ship somewhere for some reason, and now we kind of know what the reason is. We even going through the mission, I'm not like fully understanding what happened yet. And it's just kind of weird and spooky, and there's more lore to find out about the ship kind of in future weeks. We cannot access all of it yet, but the stuff we've seen so far, it's essentially Callus had some sort of favorite guardian that is not us. It's someone from the lore. You can read the Dead Man's Tale lore to kind of learn a little bit more about him. He was running Wrathborn missions, I think, before. And then Callus apparently called him to the ship and then strung him up to be some sort of weird darkness conduit to feed into the Scorn on the ship he was experimenting with. He calls the Scorn kind of like empty minds of nothingness. And like Callus has clearly kind of gone insane with his weird experiments. Like there's the past lore where he went to like the edge of space and saw the darkness and like kind of went nuts. There's some rumors that he's dead. I don't think he's dead. I can go into that later, but the substance of the mission, it is mostly puzzle-based, kind of navigating your way around the ship. There's a central, I'm not going to show footage of it here. It's just going to be me running Battlegrounds with the scout rifle because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But it is, the central mechanic is the spore thing where you shoot these spores that allow you to run through these portal doors, a mechanic that we haven't seen before. That might be something you would normally see in a dungeon or a raid. You combine this with kind of flipping different switches to open doors or deactivate traps and shooting fuses to get rid of electric force fields and stuff. And then you can take your time exploring. There's like this creepy, it's very Dead Space. Like I kept being reminded of Dead Space mixed with the protomolecule of the Expanse. There's like Scorn, weird growth things everywhere. At one point when you inspect some of it, I think Osiris mentions that it's the stuff that we saw in Drifter's ship, that it's always kind of there. So this is some sort of like light absorbing, darkness infused growth that we haven't really seen before. We've seen, the Hive and their gross worm stuff and whatever, but this is different than that. This is kind of a darkness version of that, kind of not channeled through the Hive, channeled through the Scorn and the Fallen, something Callus was messing around with. And it is just a very, very creepy setup and a beautifully horrible environment, I'd say. You can see like Cabal like all gun up, strung up in the goo, and then there's the Guardian at the end with growth coming out of his face and stuff, and it's pretty wild. And the Scorn are like the perfect villains for this because you have like Screebs just screeching in the walls and then like ambushing you. There are some pretty memorable moments here. The Star Wars trash compactor parts where you drop into the room and the walls start closing in, and you have to shoot all those circuit breakers before they do. I've yet to do that without dying. There's a maze that's like kind of in these pipes down below, which got me stuck for a while because I kept being led to the main room again. Then I realized you kind of had to go back through the main room to progress. And then, of course, there's the final boss, which is a giant Hangman Ravager style enemy where it's a unique mechanic. You have to like activate these coolant switches to be able to go down to a normally infernal bottom level to fight him down there for a limited period of time before the heat turns back on again, and you're fighting a different Scorn on both levels. I have not soloed this. I think this is like generally speaking easier to solo than a lot of past dungeon secret quest content, but for like average players, you're probably still going to have a pretty tough time. I did it with 3 people at first. The combat was not hard. It is always going to scale to I think 20 power above you, no matter what. You could be max power, and it's still going to be 20 power above you. It's just kind of how it is. And then I 2-manned it pretty easily a couple times after that, just with my buddy. And the quest is amazing. I don't know what else to say. It's eerie. There's weird voice lines from dead characters that show up, like Sagira and Cade and Gaul, and Callus. Callus is one of the quote dead voices that the boss Scorns. The boss Scorn supposedly hears like the voices of thousands of dead people, including some people we know. But Callus showing up there is possibly an indication that he's dead, but I don't really feel like they'd kill Callus like off screen, so I have a hunch that's not really going to be the case. Callus has always been a mystery. Like, is he a real person? Is he a scion, like controlling a puppet? It's not precisely clear what Callus is, but he does have a daughter who's an actual Cabal, so maybe he's just a real Cabal. So we'll see what happens with him later. But then it's not just that the quest is good. The gun is amazing. People have been asking for Bungie to make a lever action scout rifle forever. We're running out of Destiny archetypes of weapons to really develop. We have a pretty wide range of weapons at this point, to the point where it's hard to see them adding too many new types. But a lever action rifle is something that people have been requesting for a while. And then Bungie comes and they make probably the best lever action rifle that has been in a video game to date. It feels amazing. It hits super hard. It stacks precision. It stacks on precision hits, damage and reload speed, and then you can farm the quest for random rolls. It seems to be a little bugged right now. I think you can only do it on one character. I got Outlaw on mine, which is perfect because this gun loads with like a shotgun, where you load in bullets kind of individually. You're actually loading 2 at a time if you look, but speeding that up through, I know like Outlaw is kind of useless on scouts like Meta, but here with the way it reloads, like you can get blisteringly fast reloads. If you'll see it a couple times in this video when I do it. It's just very fast with Outlaw. I know some other people would like Killing Winds. I think there's something to be said for subsistence in PvE. The worst rolls may be Vorpal. I don't know how useful that's going to be. And I don't know. Moving target is fine, I guess. Snapshot is fine. I don't know. I'm really happy with my Outlaw, though. I don't even know if I'm going to farm more. Like, I'm going to farm the quest for the lore and stuff, but I don't know if I need to really farm it for more rolls of that. The Catalyst is coming. It's something about hipfire damage where like it dramatically reduces like hipfire penalties or something. so you can fire it more accurately from the hip. Uh, that's kind of a repeater style thing that people do, in westerns and things. So I can see how that could be fun. It feels great to fire. It feels so powerful. The animations, the sound design are incredible. This season, it's also an anti-barrier weapon because scouts are anti-barrier. So that's another reason to use it. The only downside to it is that you cannot use it with Tiku's divination because I love Tiku's divination too. Tiku's maybe the overall better weapon because it can do both mob clearing really well and single target damage. But it's hard to deny that Dead Man's Tale is just exceedingly fun and kind of. I wrote an article about this today, but like it's Bungie at its best, like in terms of weapon design. They've knocked it out of the park with this. They've been on even with the ups and downs, been on a real hot streak. I'd say since like Worthy or Rivals with their exotic weapons. They've done a great job with exotic weapons and catalysts and stuff like that. And they're really killing it. So these two things, kind of in addition to the other reasons I already liked the season, which is all the different loot farms and battlegrounds and all the enemy density, has really reinforced that this is starting off very strong. I'm wondering if they kind of front loaded everything here on purpose because there have been so many complaints about drip feeding content and people, we had to wait weeks and weeks for the Hawkman quest and weeks more to farm random rolls. And people were really a fan of that. And like, even if content is sticking around past the end of the season now, people are still not the biggest fan of how much is being drip fed. So I do wonder if they're really heavy stacking all the biggest stuff of the season right now. We already have 3 or 4 battlegrounds out and this exotic quest. I would not expect another secret of this level like later in the season. I'm sure we will have more story components. We will have 1 more battleground. We have 2 strikes coming because Fallen Saber is still deactivated. And then we are scheduled to have the new strike come in about a month or 3 weeks or something like that. So that is coming. And then this mission, we have to farm. We need the master mode to unlock so we can farm the catalyst, and more of the lore, I think, is tied to that. There's like data pads and dead ghosts and stuff that you can't pick up yet that I assume is going to be tied to master. And then we'll learn more lore and get more triumphs about whatever the hell is going on the ship. I'm really looking forward to the catalyst just so we can create orbs and do all this fun hipfire stuff. But yeah, I even if like the core meat of the content is being all stacked right now, I think it is a strategy that is working out. I guess we can check in 2 months or whatever. But at this point, I think it's fairly standard that everyone understands that the last month of content is probably going to be pretty sparse because you have to keep in mind, like, not everyone is like me and the streamers and such and super hardcore and doing everything the minute it comes out. It takes some people time to catch up. And then certain things are just flat out time gated. Like efficiently farming the hammer system is going to take 7 weeks because we're only getting 3 unlocks a week. So to fully maximize that potential is going to take most of the season. But that system, the hammer, the battlegrounds, those are sticking around after the season ends. This is part of Bungie's new philosophy of creating content meant to last longer, which is why we have an entirely separate playlist for battlegrounds, which is going to still be here through at least the Witch Queen. So 2 more seasons after this one, which is great. I think that's fantastic. As ever, I talked about this before, the problem with the loot is going to be sunsetting, even if the loot farms are good and lengthy and feel like a worthwhile grind. If sunsetting continues the way it is, it will destroy everything. I have a hunch that they are going to tone down sunsetting. That is probably a topic for another video before I get too far away from the exotic quest here, but that is my theory, just based on how they have been receiving feedback so far. Long and short of it, this is an amazing quest. One of the best they've ever done, I think, and we haven't even kind of fully explored it yet. There's still more to come. The weapon is fantastic. I already love scouts. I'm really tired of exotic hand cannons, so I am very excited to see both a scout, but also a lever action, hard-hitting scout like this, which is just a blast in both PvE and PvP. You'll notice all the PvP people are saying it's one of the most kind of interesting guns that they've seen for the mode in a very long time. So that, they're even not complaining about stasis for a minute to comment on how good that gun is. So it's just, I don't know, just a lot of good vibes all around for the first 2 weeks here. I know things will slow down. That's inevitable. But I think this season has a really solid base and is shaping up to be one of the better seasons that we've seen in a very long time. We'll see what else comes, but the whole like, is the season worth $10? I always think seasons are worth $10, even if they're minimal. Season with Hunt, that one you could convince me by itself is probably not worth $10, but like the quest alone, the exotic quest alone is worth $10 to me. Like, and I bought the ornament obviously for the gun. Um, I think there was more than enough content this season to justify hopping back into Destiny. And even if you dropped off like before Beyond Light or right after Beyond Light, I would come back for this stuff. This stuff is really fun, both the exotic quest, just the sheer number of enemies and battlegrounds and how chaotic and fun that is. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. I don't know what's going to happen next. They keep surprising me. I'm hoping we see Fallen Saber launch pretty soon. I heard that it might be sooner rather than later, and hopefully it won't take like weeks or a month or something, but no word yet. We'll see if anything happens maybe Friday at reset for the weekend reset. And then what trials thing I'm going to have to farm this week, since that loot is also good now. But yeah, those are my thoughts on everything so far. It's all been great. Evie, but can make a cameo, I guess. And yep, that's all we got for today. I'll see you guys later, and I'm going to go farm some more Battlegrounds.